Hello, my name is Isabella Rimboldi, and I'm a 9th grader at Plymouth South High School in Plymouth, Massachusetts. While doing my research on Maggy Barankitse, I was continuously amazed on how she took a horrifying event and turned it into a hopeful future. This is her story. Maison Shalom started as an orphanage for children whose families had died in the war between the Hutu and Tutsi tribes. Since then, it has helped children and families alike regain hope through anti-poverty programs and much-needed care. Maggy Barankitse has rescued children from the tragedies of war and given them a family, care, and most importantly, hope. From a young age, Maggy Barankitse wondered why there was hatred all around her. Marguerite was born a Tutsi in Hutu, Africa in 1957. She recalls asking her mother at a young age, "What can I do to stop the hate?" At the age of 6, Maggie's father died, and as she grew older, she didn't want any other family to have to endure the same pain she went through. Maggie's mother and grandmother taught their children the importance of loving one's neighbor and having brotherhood. Due to this, Maggie's mother adopted 8 children while already having 2 of her own. In 1976, Maggie traveled to France to study teaching. 4 years later, she returned to her hometown and began teaching French to school children. When Maggie was just 23 years old, she informally adopted one of her students, Chloe, a girl from a different ethnic background and religion. Many of her family members saw her as crazy and began to call her, quote, Crazy Maggie. The school she worked at even fired her for protesting the war between the Hutu and Tutsi. Those who mixed these ethnic backgrounds were considered to be asking for trouble. Wanting peace was not socially acceptable, and many thought of it as a crime. As Maggie grew older, she witnessed her tribe fall apart and more hatred spread. In 1993, Maggie's life changed forever. On October 24th, Tutsi tribe members sought revenge on the Hutu for murdering their own. The Hutu were hiding in the diocese buildings, along with Maggie, a Tutsi, her mixed tribe friends, and their children. On this day, Tutsi men stormed into the building where Maggie was and began to kill asylum seekers. She tried to reason with the men, but they just wouldn't listen. To punish Maggie for turning on her own tribe, they stripped off all her clothes and tied her to a chair. They forced her to stay in this horrid state as they set fire to the building. This fire drove her hiding friends out of the church, where the Tutsi men hacked them all to death. The last words that Maggie heard shouted from her friends' mouths were, "Save my children." After escaping the burning building, Maggie did just this. A few hours after the massacre, the children began to come out of their hiding places. Maggie quickly realized that it would become her duty to be a mother to these 25 children and save them from the death and destruction surrounding the Hutu and Tutsi. That day, Maggie decided that she would devote her life to helping to save children whose lives were ripped apart by the gruesome war between the neighboring tribes. If almost predicting the future, the Rwandan genocide peaked in April of the following year. Around 800,000 people were brutally murdered. Although the war seemed inhumane, one rule of the war was that no children would be killed. This left many sons and daughters parentless and living on the streets, clinging onto life. Luckily, there was Barankitse. Later that year, Maison Shalom was founded. A team of psychologists, social workers, and educators were formed to help shape the oasis of peace. Maggie was able to not only orphan parentless children, but to return children to families who were presumed dead. This was only the beginning of Maison Shalom's story and impact on its community. In 1998, Maison Shalom was awarded the Human Rights Prize by France. Maison Shalom has built up its community by creating microfinancing. Microfinancing gives families money to start businesses as long as they continue to grow them and provide paying wages. Maison Shalom also provides money to families in need. In an interview, Richard Nhenhembry, Maison Shalom's country director, stated that, "When we support families, giving them small loans, it's precisely to enable them to have the means to educate their children with dignity. One mother in Burundi shared what Maison Shalom had done for her family with this program. My name is Munerzo Alain. I am a mother of 7 children. I am married. Altogether, form a family of 9. When we fled Burundi, it was not easy. There was shooting all night and a lot of grenades. The children did not eat anymore, did not sleep anymore. After, we decided to leave the country to shelter the children. Maison Shalom gives them breakfast and a well-balanced meal at noon. This shows how Maison Shalom not only helps children, but supports whole families. Over the next 7 years, Maison Shalom would build a cinema, receive the World's Children's Prize for the Rights of the Child in Stockholm, help approximately 20,000 children, and open the City of Angels, a place for children to learn and play. Maison Shalom also helps older children learn basic skills that can be used for personal use or for the workforce. One example of this is Maison Shalom's culinary program. Annabelle Nimbona, a culinary student, shared her experience in an interview. I loved culinary art since I was in Burundi. Even at home, I often cook. I had wanted to learn cooking for a long time, but I had not had the opportunity yet. Now, as I am at Maison Shalom, I was lucky to be selected among many others. I am very happy to learn culinary art. Around them, destruction increased steadily. The Hutu rebel group, Forces of National Liberation, or the FNL, claimed responsibility for killing 160 Congolese Tutsi refugees. This made many fear for their and their children's lives. Many families went to Maison Shalom for help. In February of 2005, Burundi adopted a new constitution by referendum, allowing parliamentary and presidential elections to be held after 2 successive postponements. Parliament must be made of 60% Hutu and 40% Tutsi. This made representation in politics mostly equal and put an end to the war. Through all this tragedy, Maison Shalom continued to thrive. In 2008, Maggy inaugurated the Rema Hospital. This hospital provides medical care for those who might not be able to pay expensive doctor bills. It also provides jobs and healthcare training for anyone who is willing to learn. Maison Shalom has also been able to graduate many students from school, creating a brighter future. Maggy Barankitse's life started as a tragedy. From her father dying to watching her community break in two, she always was wondering where the love was. Although Maggy had fought for a change before, she had never taken matters into her own hands. The turning point in her life was in 1993, when the Tutsis slaughtered her friends and left her and 25 for dead. Instead of backing down, Maggy found courage, took charge, and worked hard until every child had a place to stay for the night. Now, Maison Shalom is less an institution than a place of passage for thousands of Hutu and Tutsi and Twa children to build themselves a future and help build their nation.